And action.
The Star Wars reported. Sorry?
The Star Wars Reporter podcast.
Got it. Or you are watching.
Yeah. Action. The Star Wars Reporter podcast.
Right. The Star Wars Reporter podcast you are watching. Where's my $50?
Classic. I love that thing.
It's my favorite. And unfortunately, we don't have $50 for Yoda. But thank you for introducing us. Episode 113 of the Star Wars Reporter podcast. We are back after 2 months, and life has been busy and lots of changes happening. But we are here again for episode 113. We got some catching up to do with, among other things, The Bad Batch, season 3, the final season. Another sad legacy going on to the sunset, or moving on to the double sun, looking off into the distance.
Exactly, but you know what? I respect the fact that like they branched off. This is our story. We're not going to oversaturate it, sort of thing. Sometimes too many shows go too long, and they just. I like the fact they're it's like The Good Place, a little TV series. They had 4 seasons, and boom, that's all they did. 4 seasons. They told the story and moved on. I'm sorry, Steve. My daughter's calling me. It might be an emergency. I'm so sorry. It's snowing here. Give me a second.
No worries. While we wait for Trooper Todd to get back, I'm just going to play.
It is imperative that we secure the future of this empire. We have to find Omega.
None of us belong in here.
What is your primary objective?
Escaping.
And so that's kind of the trailer for the premiere, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So again, before we get talking about the premiere, actually the last 4 episodes of The Bad Batch, I just want to remind everyone to be sure to follow us on social media. All the cool kids are doing it, I guess, except for the Facebook thing. It's just us old guys. Check us out.
I'm on Facebook.
I know, we're old guys. Check us out at StarWarsReporter.com. All the latest Star Wars news and fun. And of course, for this video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and help us out. And if you do, yeah, you get some of that. It's facing you.
Spanking Darth Vader there.
I'm so glad we're gonna have a clip of Trooper Todd spanking Vader.
Right?
Working Vader. I love it. All right. So the return of The Bad Batch season 3, where we left off, lots of bad things. It was like the second act, like Empire Strikes Back, The Bad Batch.
Yeah, I just want to say, I thought the first season of Bad Batch was amazing. Second season, I thought when it was following the storyline, the main storyline, I really liked it, and I thought there was a lot more filler episodes. The second season, which is fine. I still enjoyed it, but it lost a bit of intensity. But so far, there's 4 episodes deep in this thing. Loving it, like you're saying. Sorry, you're doing a recap, Steve, of second season. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't.
No. I was just saying it was kind of the Empire Strikes Back, right? Bad things happen.
Tech dies.
Yeah, Tech dies. Crosshair is kind of arrested by the Empire.
Yeah.
Omega
gets captured.
Taken. Yeah, Bad Batch is disarray.
They're all split up. All there was Hunter and Wrecker with each other, and they're lost. And there's dismay at how they're going to find Omega. And Tech's dead. Just so much tragedy at the end of the second season, which really sets up season 3 pretty spectacularly.
Right, because some of the things that we said was a theme where I kept saying with there just doesn't seem to be any consequences, right? Even to the point where they're stunning everyone, and you could write it off as, well, they don't want to kill their brothers, right? Like the
The clones.
The clones. They don't want to do that, but
That was my big
it
complaint,
is
right?
a Disney. Yeah. I mean, it is still a Disney show. It's still a show for kids. So, we can let that go. So when Tech falls, and I'm assuming he's dead. Now, the voice actor had said, apparently, I had read this somewhere, that when asked, said, yes, Tech is dead. But it's funny because I'm looking at the IMDb for next episode, and the title of that is called The Return. So I'm wondering if that's Tech or the return of the. Is it referring to Crosshair, the return?
It could be either or because well, we're not there yet, but there's something at the end of episode 4 which can definitely set up that title quite easily. But it could be also
Right.
a smoke and mirrors too, right?
And sorry to anyone who's a Tech fan. I hope he did die because it was more dramatic. There's consequences. There's stakes.
It was sad.
Which
it was sad and
is
devastating.
very sad, right? I mean, this is what happens, in war or whatever's happening in the universe, right? And
it's not the A-Team, right? It's not the A-Team where everybody's shooting 1,000 bullets and no one gets winged, right? It's actually
right.
there, like you said, consequences, and that's much more effective storytelling. Makes it more believable for the fans, and to help touch emotions, you need to have some tragedy, right? So,
yeah, which was it was really interesting, and I think we said then we kind of see that coming because of his last words to I forget her name, Wanda Sykes, this character, where they were kind of professing while she was they were doing the flirty thing, and he was an awkward Tech guy and stuff like that. So then he dies, and we kind of sort of saw that coming, maybe. But yeah. So I mean, the series premieres with 3 episodes, which was awesome. They seem to be doing it a lot, and there's probably reasons for it because, probably the casual fan or non-fans that just want to watch something sci-fi or animated might get lost in some kind of boredom from the first couple of episodes, right? Because they're like, maybe they're not as invested in it, where we might kind of like the story. It was kind of interesting to see, how they showed what a drone life it is to be like these clones. And to me, it's really sad what happened to the clones. Like,
absolutely.
They were just cast aside, experimented on, you name it.
Well, just that one thing that when we're talking about episode 1, when Omega's walking down the hallway, to go to her little chores, and you see all the clones are walking, even Crosshair, they're all like hunchbacked.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's almost like their body's degrading, but at the same time, their whole purpose in life is non-existent anymore, right? And so you can see the emotion of them kind of deflating, and like you said, their existence is futile, and it's just like they have no reason to be, and they just look gloomy, right? I thought the first episode really painted a good picture of what it'll be like for these retired clones and just that facility, and it wasn't a good place for them to be in.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing kind of it was kind of long scenes where they would show kind of the day of Omega just being either stuck in her room or doing these duties, and you see her still as a kid, and she makes that little homemade doll. Because what I really appreciate what they've done with the writing for Omega is they didn't go, okay, she's 10 or 11, but we're going to make her like a 25-year-old expert and knows everything and stuff. She's still like really smart, really naive. And she's still learning. She's got vulnerabilities and stuff. So you still see that child in her. And then throughout I think it was by the second episode, you see where she starts, because it's been months, I guess, at this point, where she starts kind of not settling into it, but just almost accepting where her hair as a kid, she ties back like the, I forget her name. The other clone that the lab tech that would come in and get her. What was her name? Ava or
it's something like that. Yeah, I'm terrible with names, so I don't remember.
But she did her hair just like her.
Yeah,
and then she was just like she looked like an emotionless drone going to do her duties and stuff, and she's half faking it, I think.
Well, yeah, and I just love how they built up, like like the returning shot. They always showed the little water basin, the little drip, drip, drip. Every scene it went back to that. It's another day, drip, drip. Nothing's changing. That's why I really loved what they're trying to tell is like this is her life. Nothing's different. Every day's the same. It's like Groundhog Day, right? It's the
Mhm.
same thing over and over and over and over again. And I thought it was a really good way of showing the passage of time. Like they went and did the blood work. The Camino lady. I can't remember her name, but she puts
Yeah.
her test tube into the thing, destroys it over and over and over and over. And the test tube is being tested. Like it did a really good job of showing. And then of course the kennel with all those creatures and stuff like that, just showing the passage of time. Just like you have no idea how long it was, but when you're watching it, it feels like a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like really
Mhm.
effective
You
storytelling.
yeah, you kind of felt her hopelessness or boredom, and how everyone around her are like robots, right?
Yeah.
Like they even come and do I'm going to call it a cell. It wasn't a room, it was a cell search, and they find this homemade toy, and they take it from her, um, because she's not allowed to have personal items. I mean, they're even treating, that's how far they're going, um,
They kept saying
in
she's not a
treating them.
prisoner. Remember, the first episode they said, you're not a prisoner." Am I not?
Uh-huh.
Right? What do you mean I'm not a prisoner? I'm clearly a prisoner. But
And I kind of like her reactions to all that stuff, right? She's still asking questions like, why this and why that? And I find that really, really interesting. It's just sad for me. I was watching it and I feel sad for the clones, all the stuff they did for the Republic, how awesome and cool they were in the prequels, and now they're like, well, we've seen them in the Kenobi series where they're like homeless begging for credits, and big beards and hair and stuff, and
just how terrible they feel doing what they did. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
afterwards, they don't feel good at what happened. They know that they put somebody in power that's abusing it. Like just even just living with that and that knowledge and knowing, and not being able to do what their primary function is. I think it'd be
Yeah.
very mentally draining and hard for him too. One thing I loved about again, just talking about episode one, is how Omega, just her character.
Mhm.
She's never given up on Crosshairs, even though
Yeah.
the rest of the brothers did. Right? They all kind of gave up on him. She's never given up. She's there, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" "We're going to escape. Like, just get out." Like, he, I'm a write off sort of thing. But she would not give up on him. Right? It's like she wouldn't give up on that beast. I can't remember what she called it, but
Yeah, it's I
never
forget
gave
its
up.
name.
But there's just an interesting character how like she never gave up on anyone, and just almost like she's the glue that's holding everything together, sort of thing. Like she's the most important thing, which we've been saying forever, right? And I don't know if you remember, Steve. Like I was watching episode one, and going, "Oh my goodness me, Crosshairs is going to have a redemption story arc," because you predict that in the first season. And I predicted him to be like the big bad guy going through. And I just want to say
Yeah,
that I think you were right. Your prediction was right. That
I
he's
would
going
have
to have a
liked your idea better though.
but I like what they're doing right now. How they brought him in, and they get reluctant,
Mm.
and I thought they really fleshed that out lots in the third episode, or was it fourth episode? We had four episodes, yeah, in the fourth episode, right when
In
they
the fourth
escaped. Sort of thing.
episode.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
great storytelling so far, and yeah, I've been really enjoying it.
yeah. It's I think one of the big things is we can see that they're connecting the series to the sequels, right? So you have the Empire showing up, or the Emperor showing up, and which was, we could see this in the trailers coming. I wish they would have kept that a little more hidden, but with Project Necromancer, which was the whole clone thing, which apparently is how they brought back this clone in the future. And what we see is the clones being used to try to find this match to be kind of the host for the Emperor. And it turns out Omega is probably that perfect host. And as her sample was being destroyed all the time, they knew the whole time what the Emperor was doing, and this is why she was being protected and stuff. And
And she
That
knew
part is
the
really
commu-
interesting.
she knew that Omega was the one too. She knew for
Mhm.
like that's why she was destroying. Only she knew because she's created her, right? That she was that abnormally that had the could sustain the M count sort of stuff, right? So it's just a neat little plot
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I like the fact that, you know, going back to your comments about how Omega was not giving up on Crosshair and he would kept saying, "Leave me, go." Thinking like she is basically like the audience, you know, not giving up. Where Crosshair, if you're thinking like a soldier, he is absolutely correct, right? She should, if she could get away, leave without him. Although a lot of soldiers won't leave people behind. There's that, but it was best for her to escape and he would take care of himself. But he was kind of at the point where it seemed to me that he had given up, right? Because the Empire had turned on him. And you know, when your whole world belief has fallen, been crushed, you know, like his whole purpose was one thing and it was taken away from him, and it was proven to be, you know, for people that couldn't care less about him, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he was just ready to die. He was just like, leave me here, you need to escape, that's the plan, take care of yourself. And
Also,
he was kind of right.
come the realization that he chose the wrong side, right? Like that he
Mhm.
probably came to that realization. Oh my goodness me! Everything my brother said, was kind of right, sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
So, which
definitely.
is again got to be hard on yourself too, because he was so sure of himself, right? Like, and
Mhm.
and again, you have to live with your choices you made, and that's what he was doing. He was accepting his fate, and he was just going to sit there in a cage and rot all his life. And again,
Right.
interesting little pivot points in character developments. Really,
Mhm.
really good. Again, I'm just really enjoying how it's coming out, sort of thing.
Mhm. And during that, we get a good look at Wrecker and Hunter while they're trying to find Omega. And you can kind of see, especially in Hunter's face, there was a scene where he's sitting at a console and he's, you know, doing techie stuff to try to find her. And he just pauses and he's like, you could tell he's really hurting. And I know she calls him her, you know, her brothers and stuff like this. But, you know, I think, you know, maybe they consider her like a little sister, but it's almost like a father figure. They're like parents. And Hunter's really, um, you know, where they weren't stopping. They were just like, go, 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 no matter what. They were taking risks to try to find her. Like they get um, this information from the, what is it,
Oh
the
yes,
Durans and stuff.
she's
Uh,
nasty.
yeah, they get the information. I hope they come back into it and they show more of the underside. You know how I like the underside of
Yeah,
Star Wars.
exactly right.
But they're taking these risks to get information of where this lab was. And there's really interesting, you know, where it turns into another horror movie episode, right? With the
Yeah,
big vines and whatnot, where they're finding. And they come across, again, this is another sample of how they treated and used the clones, right? So they come across these clone kids who kind of help them and they eventually get them off the planet. I just thought that was really interesting. One of them, I don't have the picture here, was actually voiced by oh god, played Boba Fett's kid. She's
oh really? I can't remember. I
yeah,
can't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Daniel. Yeah, damn
That's
it.
cool. That's cool. They bring him in
Mm,
again. That's one thing I love of the fact that they try and stick to their canon sort of thing, use their voice actors and stuff like that. Like, that's pretty sweet.
yeah. So it's just another example, and that was kind of like it was kind of like the side story and the overarching. I thought that whole, you know, them fighting the vines and helping these kids and they get off the planet. I thought that was just really interesting. But um,
It's kind of like a filler
yeah,
episode too, right? Again, it's not the main
mm,
storyline sort of thing, but again, they're trying to track down. Obviously, these two younger clones are going to be part of the team now going forward. It's setting up they lost Tech. They now have two more clones coming in that's going to help support them, which will help go take on the Empire in some kind of fashion. You
well,
want to build up
I
the
think
team.
what they were doing is they were dropping these two kids off at that island planet with the. I think that's what they were doing. It would be cool. I mean, maybe that's at the end. Like we're predicting that the Bad Batch are all going to be killed by the end of the season, right? Doing what they do to help the universe. But maybe they'll all like this is where the surviving clones that know about it will retire to this island, right? Or sorry, the planet that someone had called the one guy Fat Mace Windu, like the leader guy.
Yeah.
I don't have the picture. I was going to pull it up, but maybe that's what they're going to do. But I would like it the other way. Blaze of Glory. This is what because they have shorter lifespans, right?
Exactly. I think I wouldn't mind having them go down in some kind of heroic fashion. Like maybe they all sacrifice themselves to save Omega so she can go on. Like I can see that storyline happening. I think that'd be a really good storyline. But you're probably right because the kids show the pirates retire to the island and live in secrecy forever and ever. An
That'd be really
opportunity to bring them back, maybe in the Mandalorian movie. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But
So,
I'm more for the big sacrifice thing, which they should have
yeah.
done in episode 9 of the Star Wars. Sorry, just
here. Agreed. We were talking about that before we went live. We were talking about the sequels and the shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yes, exactly.
That they can never take or don't want to take back. But
Exactly.
you know, who are we?
okay.
We're just fans.
We're just
You know,
fans.
we're
don't
just
matter.
the old guys. So now, getting into episode 4, I mean, it was kind of now for anyone watching, you can go to StarWarsReporter.com and Darth Slobo, Adam, has written some great reviews for all episodes. And as he puts it for that episode, it's the reunion we've been waiting for. Right?
Absolutely.
They make their way back. And I think what's really different about this series than the others, and I think it probably because it involves a child, Omega, is just the reunion was really, this was a good scene when she sees them.
It was really good, and then it turned pretty intense for nothing happening. It just got really intense.
And that's because on the ship with her is this guy, right? So
exactly.
I like how they did that. He comes down, they're all staring. Omega's like, okay, what's going to happen? And there's just like good, 10, 15 plus seconds of them just staring.
No dialogue, no, just them looking at each other. Just like, it's like, ooh, like, oh, my hair's under my arm. It was no dialogue. Just the wording didn't have to animate the characters. They're just looking at each other. It was like you're saying, 10 seconds of silence and then just cuts to black.
He caused so much problem for them, not just betraying them, but helping the Empire track them down. And if I was them, I would blame him as well for the death of Tech, because he was all part of that. What to do, right? But it's like, unfortunately, I could see it as it's really going to be pushed through really quick by next episode. Like, okay, he's back on board and everything's going to be good and whatnot. I'd like to see a few episodes of them saying, yeah, okay, you did whatever today, but we don't trust you still.
I think that's going to be more. I think that's going to be more the lane they're going to drive in, is the fact that they have to build up the element of trust, and probably won't happen. I'm hoping to build up to like the last episode where he does something heroic, or and they go, brother, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that I'm with you. I hope they don't speed up too fast where they just forget everything. I don't think they can. It'd just be too convenient. It'd be very last episode 9 of Star Wars convenient if they do that, I think, which we don't want to do that. Go down that road again, right?
But we have like 11 episodes to go, so.
I didn't know. I was going to ask how many episodes they have. I really like episode 4. Just even like the whole entire scene where Omega and Crosshairs trying to find a way off this planet. They escaped in the shuttle after episode 3. It crashes, but even like how Omega was kind of running the show. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah,
she was running the show. Crosshair listening, Crosshair want to do this way. She says, no, we're not doing it this way. And then at the end, it comes to the point where she's like, okay, Crosshair, we tried everything my way. Let's do it your way. It's like, well, so even the fact, like, the fact that they have to work together to get out of a situation, right? And so she realized that she tried everything in her power, and okay, you know what? We have to look your direction. So it's just a bit of compromise sort of thing. And to get to the mission, which I thought really built a lot of, where you can see how Crosshair has totally changed that episode too. His feelings for Omega, like, it's not about myself. Like that little speech she did to him when they're about to part ways, right? Like, I can't leave my dog behind. I'm going to get him. And he's like, well, She said, "Well, go." So he leaves.
Yeah.
Like, I can't leave her now, right? So boom, like so. That again, very interesting story arc. Very interesting how it's developing characters. Where
Yeah.
it's showing that he realizes, again, a lot of times I think in the jail cell that maybe I didn't do things right, and now he's starting to think about, okay, it's not just about me, it's about us.
Hmm. Yeah, and again, we get to see on one of these small outer planets, in small towns, the corruption of the empire. Right? It's not all about just strict military officers, right? You're not going to get that all the time. So you have these officers and stormtroopers apparently on the take, right? Like getting bribe money from like these local businesses and corruption with the gambling and all this kind of stuff. So you see kind of the dirtbag imperial officer, which was it Lucas didn't, George didn't touch a lot of that in the originals or the prequels, and we get that, right? But when you have a series and you have time to do that, I just like all these small touches. I love the storytelling in this. Even the filler ones are kind of interesting, seeing the side stuff.
And I just want to take a time to reflect upon Filoni, just how he develops characters. Like, what tells an effective story? You need to have a good villain, right? You look at his track record with Rebels. You look at his track record with the Clone Wars. Like Rebels, he always had really good villains, right? Like to help make everything intense. And now this Bad Batch, this last season, we introduced a new character, this scientist guy. I don't remember his name, but again, really interesting character. Like just calm, cool, very a Throng type feeling. How calm and cool he is. But again, he's a bad dude. He's a bad dude.
Yeah,
He's not screaming and raging, but how calm he is and his plan. And I just really like these types of villains where they're up to no good. They're all about self-preservation and badness and evil and I just like how his characters aren't over the top, in your face. Look at me, I'm bad. They're just calm and cool. And he's a geek. He's a science laboratory geek, but again, he's a nasty dude.
You can compare him to what's his name from World War II, Joseph Mangala, or I'm saying that wrong, but I should know.
Exactly, right? He's a mad scientist doing awful things to awful people for the benefit of himself to get, he had the Emperor in his presence, right? He's doing something the Emperor wants.
Emperor gave him whatever he needed.
And you see how he kind of relished in that, right? I have all the means of the Empire at my disposal. Like he even said that in episode 4, right? Like he's relishing that I have power, right? So he's not a nice guy. Again, and I tip my hat to Filoni about creating these characters that make the storytelling engaging. You have what makes the heroes great? Overcoming a great villain. And whatever his name is, I don't know what his name is, but I know what he looks like. I know that he's bad. When he's on the screen, I'm going, he's bad. And what's his name? Do you know his name is the character's name?
It is. I have it.
I think you're froze. Here.
Back. He is.
Well, I stumped us. I should have checked myself too. Hello?
Is it Dr. Hemlock?
It could be.
Yeah, it's Dr. Hemlock. Yeah, Dr. Hemlock. Yeah, Dr. Hemlock, I believe, is his name.
I'm sure somebody will let us know in the comments if you're wrong. But let's go with Hemlock. Let's go with Hemlock.
Oh, we're totally wrong.
Oh, is it?
It's Hemlock. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not nice. His whole weird whispery talk and his I'm gonna say weird hair, but we almost have the same hair, so I shouldn't.
I'm about to say you have a little bit longer on top, but you have this very similar haircuts.
Yes, except
Are you a bad guy, Steve? Are you a bad guy?
No, I can't be a bad guy. I have a beard.
You got a beard. Good point. Yeah, good point. Only Jedi.
I just saw a meme that said beards are the new six pack. So my wife says no, but
I even like you beer than a sixpence. That's good. I better grow beer then. I even like episode 3. Like episode like remember I really liked oh Andor. Sorry,
Right.
my lungs are collapsing on me. I apologize. If I cough, that's why.
Oh no.
I've been sick for 4 weeks. I was sick 4 weeks ago, really bad, and it's in my lungs. I just have a hard time getting rid of it. But episode
Right.
3, remember the poker game? You had this imperial guy who's in charge, right? And
Yeah.
again, I don't know his name either, but again, one thing about Andor, remember it showed those imperial commanders and stuff. They're just how they're all in it for themselves, and like he was
Yeah.
a seedy and just a bad guy, and just like taking advantage of everybody, and abuse of power, and it just
Yeah.
again showing the underbellies of the Empire away from Darth Vader and away from the Emperor. Just like they're all bad dudes. You know what I'm saying? They're all
Mhm.
for themselves, all about betterment of themselves, and I just love how they paint that picture across all
Yeah.
the series that the Empire are not great people, and I really liked seeing the behind the scenes. You know, I always talk to you about, wouldn't it be great to have a troopers show? It just shows
Yeah.
behind the scenes of the just troopers and living in the Empire
Right.
life. And I just like seeing that behind that Iron Curtain sort of thing.
Oh yeah. Speaking of gambling, there was the episode where it was uh, episode 4 where Omega uses her gambling
Before.
skills, and
Yeah.
this is the Imperial officer, the corrupt guy. And this game apparently is different than the Sabak, right? We all
Yeah.
familiar with that, but this is a new game that they invented just recently, and apparently it's taking off. It's popular. People are liking it, and it was featured on StarWars.com. They did a story on it. It'd be
Really?
interesting to find that game because there used to be an app of Sabak, and I don't think they had a license to do it, but I used to play it all the time until it was canned, and it was so much fun playing Sabak. And it'd be interesting to if they release this game to find it and play it because it's a Star Wars game. It's kind of cool.
Why not? Hey, why not play it? I still can't believe they haven't released a version of the chess game they play in the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, that would be. Yeah, it'd be
A video
really
game,
cool.
like how can you not have that game out there yet? Like devise a game where it's based off the movie and it's these little characters body slamming each other and breaking each other's necks. Like how fun that would be? Like a violent version of chess, right? That'd be fun.
I wonder if there's even rules for that game, if they've made rules for it, because you just assume it's some kind of chess, right?
Yeah.
Just like in Star Trek with the 4-level thing and stuff. But I
Yeah.
think they made that and made rules for it. But I wonder if there is an actual rule for this one.
Well, yeah, you think somebody could make some rules up that would work, right? Like I'm sure
Definitely.
it was 1977. I'm sure George didn't actually come with the whole concept of how the game worked. Even the fact they have Sabak as a real game and they actually figure that out is kind of cool. And if this game's a real game too, well, that'd be kind of interesting to see what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, Sabak is like, if I can remember, it's like trying to get closest to 31, but then certain card combinations, like
Okay.
Idiot's Array, can just instantly win the hand. It's like a blackjack. That's how Han Solo, right, got the ship. So it was basically just like there's a lot of different rules for it. I never really took a lot of time to understand it, but it was a lot of fun on the game, right? The game would just do the work for me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And one thing that poker game really showed too is how much of status what's it not statistician coming out game plans Omega has, right? What's the word I'm looking for? It's an S word. Strategist. She's a strategist, right? So therefore she was really good at this card game because obviously one of her special abilities is being a strategist, which Hunter developed in season 1, right? And a bit of season 2 early on, that she was really smart and was able to figure these things out, which made it really believable. They did their homework to show that she's a strategist, and so that her beating these people in this game isn't unbelievable because she's a master plotter, right? So again, I like that. Again, they're just not pulling out stupid things. Well, look, she's really good at cards all of a sudden. They developed it over the 2 seasons leading up to this, the fact that this is how she's beating people. And she was confident she would too, right? And she wasn't cheating. So
and she was made that way. So it's kind of, that's just, like all of them, even, in the prequels, when you saw the clones being trained and they're like young kids and they're on the consoles doing this and that. So they're not normal kids. I think she's more normal socially empathetically, like
Yeah.
how she is, where I think that the rest of them were just like soldiers. They do this, they do that. It's because she was brought up differently, because she was
Yeah.
around, Camino and the scientists and stuff. So it was a lot different. So she has that. She's learning the military stuff more from the batch. And that was the other thing I thought was really cool. These kids were like, they're 99s, they're defectives. They just referred to them several times as defectives.
Defective.
And I just thought it was kind of funny, and they thought nothing of it. Like, the batch were like, never even blinked an eye at it.
Well, I want to go back to the mega point you brought up, the fact too that how she's more compassionate and caring for other people, well-being, because obviously she was genetically modified, right? So obviously her mixture made her have more compassion for people. Where now the clothes, like all the rest of the Bad Batch, have all had to learn that compassion, right, over time. Like, what I'm saying, it wasn't ingrained right away. Where she right away, remember the first season when we can't leave crosshairs, we can't leave crosshairs, we can't leave cross, like, what I'm saying, like she already had that built into her, that she had feelings. It wasn't all about just getting the job done. She had emotional attachment to people, which again is another great thing they've developed throughout the series and kept to it.
Yeah, I like that. Even in the episodes when at one point she's saying to Crosshair, like, we need to go back to that base and free everyone else. And he's like, no, are you crazy?
Yeah, or even all the animals. She wanted to free all the animals. We have to free all the animals. We can't free all the animals, right? But because that's what she is. It's not just her. Where everybody else has self-preservation, she's like, no, we got to help everybody. And again, obviously, there's a lot of something they did with her to make her special. And we always knew from season 1 there was something different about her, that she stood out. And we were theorizing that maybe she's force sensitive and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, she doesn't have the force, but if she can handle M counts,
her M count is high. So
yes, exactly.
But they don't want to say metachlorians because it gets everyone crazy or not crazy. So they're like M count.
It's a word. It's a trigger word. It is a trigger word. M count is everybody knows what M count means, and everybody's cool with M count. But as soon as you say metachlorians, little beings that live, then you're okay. Well, slow down. Like, even I can't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too far fetched.
I just wish that, and I think I've said this a million times on different podcasts with us. I just wish that in the newer movies or shows that they would have elaborated on, some character would have said something like metachlorians, what's that? And someone could have said, because it was always like a spiritual thing that bound the universe together. And then he quantified it in the prequels. And what should have been said is, there's some Jedi out there that think that they can measure the Force, but the Force isn't measurable. If they could have said that, people would have been okay with M counts, and people would have been okay with
metachlorians.
Without it. And so both sides would have been fighting. They would have said, well, we're the Jedi that believes in measuring the Force, and others are like, you can't measure something that's immeasurable.
Exactly.
And that did away with it.
Different denominations of the Jedi, right? That makes sense to me. Like, everyone can have little different look at things differently. That's fine, right? There's humans that think the Earth is round. There's some that think it's flat. Okay. Right?
Well, I mean, that's going really wrong.
Well, come on, metachlorians, dude. Come on, M count is much more acceptable.
I can accept metachlorians more than I can flat Earth.
Well, I'm just saying. To me, metachlorians is like the flat Earth theory.
It is true. It's so funny.
But again, I don't know why George. Again, this is going back to the big. Why he even tried to try to explain it. Like, one great thing about Wolverine, we didn't know his origins, right? I think a lot of people prefer, we don't know where the Joker came from. You know what I'm saying? Who he was. Everybody, that was great. That's what's great about him, right? Just like, I thought that the first A New Hope, Obi-Wan explained the Force very well. Yoda in episode 5 explain it very well. Just, it's this thing surrounds us. It's all around all things. Good. It's a faith-based, like Han say, religion, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
What's wrong with that? Just let it go with that. Let's leave that alone, right? If you don't believe in it, you can't do it. You believe in it, you can focus it, and you can do it. They don't explain it.
I also like that they didn't back then have the Jedi. The Jedis weren't gods. and could do everything. Like they seemed more balanced to non-Force users, because I mean the universe lived, on with them around and lived on with them not around, or
Yeah,
very few of them.
yeah.
So I kind of liked how simple they were. Although I really loved they went from that really basic kendo fighting in the originals to the crazy, you know, the choreography in the prequels. I love that, like Darth Maul and stuff. I do appreciate that. I wish I wish the culture in the 70s and early 80s knew more about some of these martial art
Well,
sword play. But
again, this is back then when movies, okay, it's all budget. Like why do you have to just have like even watch the first Highlander movie? It's just ching 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 ching.
yeah,
They're not. The choreography is terrible.
mhm.
It's taken a long time for people to say, okay, you know what, we gotta bring up expectations. Like, Empire Strikes Back's lightsaber fights was so much better. So they
Oh yeah,
improved the budget for it, and Return of the Jedi
definitely.
even better, right? So obviously, I'm sure George Lucas had a time machine, would go back and get huge
Oh yeah,
choreography
definitely.
done, right? Bring a stuntman in for Alec Guinness, like I think I sent you.
Oh
I'm,
yeah, they
I'm
could
sure you've
have.
seen it. They did a remake. Somebody did a remake of special effects where
You sent that
Obi-Wan's
to
fighting.
me.
Yeah, and it's so good, right? If you haven't seen it on YouTube,
So good.
check it out. It's Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader. It's a redo of Episode 4 lightsaber fight, and it's amazing. Like that's
Oh,
what it would
they're
look like today,
going
right?
hard at each other. Yeah, it was very, very cool. So,
But you could go back again. I still respect the 1977, ching 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 ching. It is
oh
what
yeah,
it
no,
is, but
definitely,
it still works. It still works.
definitely. So, I mean, final thought on how you think the series is going so far. Maybe a prediction.
Already, I'm going. As I said earlier on, I think this is a big upgrade from season 2. Again, I enjoyed season 2, but it wasn't as good as season 1. I thought this has been so much better. I'm looking forward to seeing this intensity of the next episode with Crosshairs coming back, and
Mm,
just what's the first thing they say to each other, right? Like, how's that going to work? And again, the doctor, whatever his name is, the bad guy, just what's going to happen with him. Like, there's so much stuff we don't know. Uh,
yeah.
the communal lady, I can't remember her name. She's in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things going on. Even like the fact that the clone doctor that was working with Omega, she gave Omega her doll back, right? So even she's kind of
Mm,
rebelling, right? So if all these clones are in captivity, are they going to rebel? Like it could build up to be a nice. I hope they go out in a big epic fashion. Is what I'm hoping for. Again,
yeah.
I'm in favor of having a big, huge self-sacrifice thing to help somebody or to help Omega go off so she can be free. Something like that. I'm
Definitely.
looking forward to. That's what I'm predicting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm liking the story. I'm liking and feeling bad for everything happening to the clones and the history of what they did to you know, these great fighters that helped them get to where they are. And I am looking forward to. My prediction is at least Wrecker for sure is going to try to make a move towards Crosshair, and Omega is going to talk everyone down. And you know, I don't blame Wrecker and Hunter. Like, how could they just go, "Oh, you," and not, because they're still soldiers. They're still, they've gone through months of hell trying to find Omega. Um, they lost a comrade, et cetera, et cetera. It's just been really bad. So I hope they go at each other and she, breaks it up. And because they all kind of listen to her, like
Yeah,
you were saying before, she's kind of the reason.
yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I think Wrecker will be the most forceful one. I don't think Crosshairs is going to defend himself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
It'll
think I
be,
I think he's realized he's made a mistake. I think, but we'll see.
mhm. You can see it in his face. So he's probably like, "Oh, hey guys."
That's when he came off the ship and looked. It's not like he's like going,
Yeah. Here I am. Now what?
yeah, here I am. Yeah, exactly. Like again, I think you're 100% correct. Omega's will be the peacekeeper among them.
Mhm.
She has to be. She always is. She
Mhm.
like really she is the smartest one out of them. Really, like
Mhm.
I think she is. She's probably the strongest character. Character that wants to help everybody if she can. So I can see how from the very beginning she always wanted to keep the peace, right? So you can't
Yeah.
leave without Crosshair. She now that they found him and got him back, she doesn't want him to leave.
Yeah. So we'll see what his redemption is going to be, and maybe their next move after all this is to go back to that planet where they've been sending the clones, where it's kind of safe, and maybe they'll try to drop Omega off or not. There might be some arguments there, right? Like Hunter doesn't want her to be in danger again. I hope that they play on that as well, right? Where they start being parents more, and there's that story struggle where she's like, yeah, but I'm not a normal kid, and we have things that we have to do, and it'll be some good kind of a soap opera kind of stories.
I imagine they're going to go in and try to destroy the clone project because let's face it, like the Emperor in episode 9 was not fully functioned. So obviously, and Snoke was not fully there, right? So I think it's going to end with them destroying some of that project so that it's not as successful as they want it to be.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Which
will explain the clone defects later on, right?
Right, and how bad everything was for sure. Yeah. So next Wednesday is episode 5, and the return. So who knows what that is? Maybe it's the return is Crosshair, and they'll go from that, or
maybe it's Tech.
I hope it's not Tech. There needs to be consequences.
I agree with you 100%. I hope it's not Tech. I wouldn't be surprised if Tech did come back, but I think it's better that he's gone. I really do.
Yeah.
But again,
and maybe they'll pick off each one throughout the series. That'd be interesting.
I think so. Like, they already got rid of Echo. Like, he went off to help or work with the other clones, right? Even like, that's why I can see them coming back, like bringing all the clones that he's helping out too, right? Bringing them all together, have a big, huge battle around this whole entire cloning facility, and have it out, and try and stop him from doing whatever. Of course, they're all going to be chasing after Omega anyway, right? So it's all about protecting Omega, right? So he might unleash his whole resources of the Empire after to get her. And I'm looking forward to it.
What if Crosshair's redemption is finally carrying? His heart grew 2 times that day. He goes from the Grinch to the good Grinch, and maybe he's the next one to go if they decide to go that route. He redeems himself, saves everyone or Omega with his excellent shooting skills and sacrifice, blah blah blah. But
I'm enjoying the ride. I lassoed my story. I'm enjoying the ride. So far it's been great storytelling. I was telling somebody at our church today who's a big Star Wars fan. I said, "Hey, have you ever watched The Bad Batch?" He goes, "No, I haven't." I said, "You gotta." Like, he watched Rebels and stuff like that. He loved that. I said, "You gotta watch The Bad Batch." It takes place right after Order 66, and it follows through and showing the rise of the Empire. It's really good. So I'm hoping that he'll jump on board and enjoy it too.
Speaking of Star Wars fans, before we sign off here, I just want to shout out to a group that I played Helldivers 2 with today. I had a great match with them. It turned out to be awesome Star Wars fans. Toyacon Base 1 and Burnt Green Tea. Burnt Green Tea. They were a lot of fun in the game and laughed at my jokes. So that means that they're awesome people. And I found out that they were huge Star Wars fans because the name I go by in the game is Wookiee Steve, and so they just started following us on Instagram and just had a lot of fun playing that game with them. So, anyways, shout out to them. Had a good time. So that was our review of episodes 1 to 4 of The Bad Batch. Next episode of The Bad Batch is next Wednesday, and our podcast will be sometime after that.
Well, thanks for inviting me back, Steve. It was a great time discussing the episodes with you. I always enjoy doing recaps and talking about what we went over, sort of thing. I always feel like I get a different perspective of what happened in the episodes, and it's always fun sharing with you. So thank you very much for the invite.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thanks a lot. And to everyone else watching, may the Force be with you. Always.